Jin woke up with a pounding headache. His eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the bright blue-tinted light around him. This was not his apartment in Seoul. The air smelled different, clean but artificial. He sat up and found himself on a firm bed in a small white room with no windows. "Where am I?" he whispered. The last thing he remembered was walking home after teaching his evening martial arts class. A door slid open with a soft hiss. Jin jumped to his feet, his body automatically moving into a defensive stance. A human woman walked in. She was young, maybe in her late 20s, wearing what looked like a formal uniform, dark blue with silver trim. "Good, you're awake," she said. "My name is Hana. I know this is confusing, but we need your help right away." Jin lowered his hands slightly, but remained alert. "Where am I? What happened to me?" Hana sighed. "You're on the Federation Central Station. It's in space. Earth joined the Galactic Federation 3 months ago." Jin stared at her. "Space? Federation?" He shook his head. "Is this some kind of joke?" "I wish it was," Hana said. She pressed something on her wrist, and the wall behind her turned into a large window. Jin's mouth fell open. Outside was the blackness of space dotted with stars. Below them was a blue-green planet that definitely wasn't Earth. Several ships, some as big as cities, moved slowly in the distance. "This isn't possible," Jin said, his voice barely a whisper. "There wasn't time for the normal introduction process," Hana explained. "Earth's government kept first contact quiet while they negotiated terms. Only top officials knew about aliens until last month." Jin moved closer to the window, his mind racing to accept what he was seeing. "Why am I here? I'm just a martial arts instructor." "That's exactly why we need you," Hana said. "The Federation has a competition called the Grand Arena. Each species must compete. How well we do decides how much say we get in Federation matters and how many resources Earth receives." Jin turned away from the window. "So Earth needs a fighter. But why me? There are better fighters, professional athletes." "There's been a rule change," Hana cut in. "All weapons are banned for this year's tournament. And most alien species have natural weapons, claws, poison, extra limbs, armored skin. Humans don't. Our delegation was planning to use our advanced weapons technology as our advantage." Jin began to understand. "So without weapons, they think we're doomed." Hana nodded. "The diplomats are panicking. They're ready to forfeit, which would be disastrous for Earth's standing." "But Earth has martial arts," Jin said. "We've been fighting, without weapons for thousands of years." "Exactly," Hana's eyes lit up. "That's what I told them. But the diplomats, they're politicians and scientists, not fighters. They didn't understand. I found your name in a database. Former Special Forces, master of several martial arts, current instructor. You're perfect." Jin walked away from the window, trying to process everything. "When is this competition?" "It starts tomorrow." Jin stopped. "Tomorrow? That's not enough time to—" A chime interrupted them, and the door opened again. A tall, thin man with gray hair entered, wearing a fancier version of Hana's uniform. "Is this him?" the man asked, looking Jin up and down with obvious disappointment. "Yes, Ambassador Tyke," Hana said. "This is Jin, the martial artist I told you about." Tyke frowned. "He doesn't look like much." Jin remained silent, used to being underestimated. "The committee meeting starts in 30 minutes, Tyke said. "Bring him. He should at least understand what he's getting into before he embarrasses us all." With that, Tyke turned and left. Hana looked apologetic. "Don't mind him. He's under a lot of pressure." "Will there be aliens at this meeting?" Jin asked. "Yes. Representatives from all competing species." Jin took a deep breath. "Then I should change. I can't represent Earth wearing sleep clothes." The meeting hall was massive, with high ceilings and walls made of some shimmering material that changed colors slightly as Jin walked past. The room was filled with beings of all shapes and sizes, some humanoid, others completely alien to Jin's eyes. He fought to keep his face neutral, to not stare at the six-limbed insect-like creatures or the floating jellies that glowed different colors. Hana had given him a simple earth uniform, similar to hers but without the silver trim. He stood straight, channeling the discipline from his military days. In the center of the room was a raised platform where three tall, gray-skinned aliens stood. They had long necks and large black eyes. "Those are the Trell," Hana whispered. "They run the committee that oversees the arena." The tallest Trell raised a four-fingered hand, and the room fell silent. "The 144th Grand Arena will begin tomorrow," the Trell announced, its voice surprisingly deep. "As previously stated, the Council has voted to ban all weapons for this tournament cycle." A rumble of discontent spread through the room. "This decision is final," the Trell continued. "To clarify, natural evolutionary adaptations are not considered weapons. Only manufactured or crafted items designed to cause harm are banned." A large, red-skinned alien with four muscular arms stood up. "The humans have no natural defenses. This gives them an excuse to forfeit without shame. They should still be required to compete." Several aliens shouted their agreement. Jin looked at Hana. "Who is that?" "Quan, champion of the Krith," she whispered. "Their species has dominated the arena for decades." The Trell raised their hand again. "Earth will compete like all others. How they choose to do so is their concern." Ambassador Tayek stood, his face red with anger or embarrassment. Jin couldn't tell which. "Earth protests this sudden rule change. We had no time to prepare an alternative strategy." The Trell's face remained expressionless. "The rule applies to all. Each species must adapt." Jin watched the aliens around them. Many were smirking or making what he assumed were gestures of amusement. Earth was being set up to fail. That much was clear. The weapons ban was meant to showcase human weakness. Without thinking, Jin stood up. Hana tugged at his sleeve. "What are you doing?" she hissed. All eyes in the room turned to Jin. He felt a moment of panic, then calmed himself with a deep breath, just as he taught his students. "Earth will compete," Jin said, his voice steady. "Humans have been fighting without weapons for thousands of years. We call it martial arts." Quan, the four-armed alien, laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Your soft bodies and weak limbs are no match for natural evolution. Without your tools, you are nothing." Jin met the alien's gaze calmly. "We'll see in the arena." The room erupted in noise. Some aliens laughing, others arguing. The Trell waited for quiet before speaking again. "Each species will present their champion at the opening ceremony tomorrow. The tournament bracket will be announced then." With that, the Trell left the platform, and the meeting broke into smaller groups. Ambassador Take grabbed Jin's arm. "What were you thinking? You've just committed us to a competition we can't win." "Would you rather forfeit?" Jin asked. "Of course not, but then let me try." Jin looked around at the aliens, studying their bodies, their movements. "I may not win, but I'll show them humans aren't weak." Hana stepped between them. "Ambassador, Jin is our best chance. He's trained his whole life for this kind of fighting." Tyke looked unconvinced but sighed heavily. "Fine, but if you embarrass Earth, the consequences will be severe." He walked away, joining a group of human diplomats who all looked equally worried. "Did I just make a huge mistake?" Jin asked Hana once Tyke was gone. Hana smiled for the first time since they'd met. "Maybe, but at least it was an interesting one." A small, blue-skinned alien approached them. It had large, webbed hands and bulging eyes set wide on its face. "You are the human fighter?" it asked in accented English. Jin nodded cautiously. "I am Dahl," the alien said. "I have studied many species in my long life. The others underestimate you." The alien's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "This will be very interesting indeed." As Dahl walked away, Jin looked at Hana. "I need to see videos of past arena fights. I need to understand what I'm up against." Hana nodded. "I'll arrange it, but Jin, are you sure about this? These beings have evolved as predators. They've been fighting in the arena for generations. Jin watched the aliens around the room. The way they moved, the confidence in their postures. They thought humans were weak, and they were in for a surprise. Humans evolved as predators too, Jin said quietly. We just did it differently. After the meeting, Hana took Jin to a small room filled with screens. She pressed a few buttons on a control panel, and videos began to play on the walls around them. These are recordings of past arena matches, she explained. I've selected ones featuring the top species we're likely to face. Jin watched closely as alien bodies clashed in combat. The four-armed Krith used their strength to crush opponents. The insect-like Vorg had spines on their arms that dripped with venom. The sailor moved with incredible speed, their hard outer shells gleaming under the arena lights. They all have natural weapons, Jin said. The Trell may have banned manufactured weapons, but these species don't need them. Exactly, said a voice from the doorway. Jin turned to see Dahl, the small blue alien from the meeting. Hana looked surprised. How did you get in here? This is the Earth delegation's private area. Dahl's mouth formed that strange, almost smile. Again. I have studied arena politics for many cycles. There are few doors closed to me. The alien moved into the room, its webbed feet making soft padding sounds on the floor. You humans need help. I am offering it. Jin glanced at Hana, who nodded slightly. Why would you help us? He asked Dahl. The Krith, Vorg, and Sealer have controlled the Federation Council for too long, Dahl said. They use the arena to keep newer species weak and dependent. The alien gestured at the screens. This weapons ban was their idea, designed specifically to prevent humans from making a strong first showing. Jin continued watching the fights, noticing patterns in how each species moved. They think without our technology, we're helpless. Yes, Dahl agreed, and that is their mistake. Hana frowned. What do you mean? Most species in the Federation evolved with natural weapons. Claws, venom, armor, Dahl explained. They never needed to develop fighting techniques without them. But humans? Dahl turned to Jin. You created hundreds of different fighting styles using only your bodies. Jin nodded slowly, understanding. We turned our bodies into weapons because we had to. Precisely, Dahl said. Now let me show you something important. The alien tapped the control panel, bringing up the official arena rules on a screen. Look at Section 47B. Jin read aloud. While weapons are banned, no restrictions are placed on how competitors may use their natural abilities or their opponent's natural features against them. A slow smile spread across Jin's face. So I can use my opponent's strengths against them. If you can, Dahl said. Few have ever managed it. Jin turned back to the videos, studying them with new purpose. I need to see more fights. Every match with the top champions if possible. Hana nodded. I'll get them all loaded. She paused. But Jin, the first match is tomorrow. Is that enough time? It has to be, Jin said simply. Later that evening, the human delegation attended a reception with the other competing species. The large hall was filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes, eating, drinking, and talking in dozens of different languages. Small floating robots moved around, translating conversations. Jin stood with Hana near the edge of the room, watching everything carefully. He wore a simple Earth uniform that Hana had provided. Many aliens glanced their way, some curious, others dismissive. Don't let them intimidate you, Hana whispered. Half of diplomacy is confidence. I'm not intimidated, Jin replied. I'm observing. Look how they move, how they interact. It tells me a lot about how they might fight. Ambassador Tayek approached them, looking slightly less unhappy than before. The opening ceremony is tomorrow at mid-cycle. You'll be announced as Earth's champion, and your first match will be assigned. He looked Jin up and down critically. Have you learned anything useful from those old recordings? Yes, Jin said simply. He didn't elaborate. The less the other species knew about his preparation, the better. Tyke frowned. This isn't a game, you know. Earth's standing in the Federation depends on our performance. If you embarrass us, I won't. Jin cut in, his voice quiet but firm. Before Take could respond, a group of aliens approached. Leading them was Quan, the four-armed Krith champion. "So this is the human fighter," Quan said, his translator making his deep voice sound flat, even smaller up close. Jin said nothing, just met the alien's four eyes calmly. Quan laughed. No weapons, no claws, no venom, not even teeth worth mentioning. He flexed his four powerful arms. "How do you plan to fight, little human? Will you surrender right away, or should I help you do it?" Several aliens in the group laughed. Jin remained silent, studying Quan's body structure, the way he balanced his weight, the movement of his multiple arms. Annoyed by Jin's silence, Quan stepped closer. "Are all humans as quiet as you, or just as hopeless?" "I was taught that true warriors don't need to boast," Jin finally said. "Their actions speak for them." This caused a stir among the watching aliens. One of them, a tall sealer with gleaming armor-like skin, moved forward. "You speak bravely for a species that has never proven itself in the arena." "Every species was new once," Jin replied. "Even yours." The sealer's body stiffened in what Jin guessed was anger or surprise. Quan made a dismissive gesture with his lower, right arm. "Brave words mean nothing. Tomorrow we'll see what humans are truly made of." With that, he turned and walked away, his group following. Hana let out a breath. "That could have gone worse." "They're trying to intimidate us," Jin said. "It's a common tactic." Dahl appeared beside them, seemingly out of nowhere. "You handled that well. Quan is not used to being spoken to as an equal by new species." Jin nodded toward the departing aliens. "Tell me about the sailor, the one with the shiny skin." "That was Ren, their champion," Dahl said. "The sealer have an exoskeleton that most weapons can't penetrate. Without weapons, most consider them nearly unbeatable. And yet you think I have a chance," Jin said, looking down at the small alien. Dahl's large eyes blinked slowly. "I've watched thousands of arena matches in my long life. Most fighters rely on their natural advantages and never develop beyond them. But you humans," Dahl gestured at Jin's hands, "you turned your greatest weakness into strength. You had to become smarter fighters because you lacked natural weapons." Jin flexed his fingers. "These hands built civilizations, created art, and, yes, developed ways to fight. But will it be enough against beings that evolved as predators?" "That," Dahl said, "is what makes this so interesting." After the reception, Jin returned to his quarters to train. He pushed the furniture against the walls to create an open space in the center of the room. Then he began moving through forms and techniques, adapting them as he remembered the alien bodies he had seen in the videos. A knock at the door interrupted him. It was Hana, carrying a small device. "I brought you this," she said, handing it to him. "It's a portable display with all the arena rules and recordings of matches from the last 10 cycles. Jin took it gratefully. "Thank you." Hana hesitated before speaking again. "Jin, I need to tell you something. I overheard Ambassador Tyke talking with other delegation members. They've already prepared a statement accepting defeat. They don't believe you can win." Jin wasn't surprised. "They're being practical. From their perspective, this is hopeless." "And from your perspective?" Hana asked. Jin smiled slightly. "In martial arts, we learn that the fighter who believes they've already won is vulnerable. The fighter who believes they've already lost is defeated before they begin." He set the device down on a table. "I choose to believe neither. I will simply do my best." Hana smiled. "I'll let you get back to training. Your first match is in 10 hours. After she left, Jin returned to his practice. He worked through techniques for hours, visualizing alien opponents, adapting movements to counter extra limbs, hard shells, and venomous spines. Finally, exhausted, he sat on the floor and activated the device Hana had given him. He opened the arena rules and began reading carefully. If he couldn't overpower his opponents, he would need to outsmart them. One rule in particular caught his attention. Matches end upon submission, incapacitation, or when a fighter steps outside the arena boundary. Jin thought about this. Most of the alien champions were predators, focused on dominating through force. They would expect him to try the same. But humans had evolved as persistence hunters, tracking prey over long distances until it collapsed from exhaustion. Patience, Jin murmured to himself. Endurance, adaptability. He closed his eyes, planning his strategy for tomorrow. These are human weapons, too. The arena was massive. Jin stood in the entrance tunnel looking out at a round fighting space about 50 feet across. Surrounding it were rows and rows of seats, filled with thousands of aliens of all shapes and sizes. The noise was overwhelming. Clicks, whistles, roars, and other sounds Jin couldn't even describe. Nervous? Hana asked, standing beside him. Jin took a deep breath. Focused, he corrected her. He wore a simple outfit, loose black pants and a fitted gray top that allowed him to move freely. Your first opponent is a mech warrior, Hana said, looking at her small screen. 6 limbs, hard outer shell, strong mandibles. Jin nodded. He had seen mech fighters in the videos Hana had provided. They were fast and aggressive, using their multiple limbs to overwhelm opponents. A chime sounded, and lights flashed along the tunnel. That's your signal, Hana said. Good luck. Jin stepped forward, walking out into the bright lights of the arena. The crowd's noise changed, becoming quieter, almost confused. Many had probably never seen a human before. On the opposite side, his opponent emerged, a mech warrior, just as Hana had said. It was about 7 feet tall with a brown segmented exoskeleton. Its 6 limbs ended in sharp pincer-like appendages, and its head featured large compound eyes and powerful mandibles. A voice boomed through the arena, speaking in several languages. First match of the 144th Grand Arena, representing Earth, Jin, representing the mech collective Breck. Jin and the mech warrior Breck approached the center of the arena. A Trell official stood between them. You know the rules, the Trell said. No weapons. Match ends on submission, incapacitation, or boundary exit. Begin when the signal sounds. The Trell moved away. Jin stood calmly, his hands loose at his sides. Across from him, Breck clicked its mandibles together and shifted its weight from leg to leg. A loud tone rang out. The match had begun. Breck immediately charged forward, all 6 limbs moving in perfect coordination. Jin waited until the last possible moment, then stepped to the side, letting the mech rush past him. The crowd murmured. They had expected Jin to attack, or to be instantly overwhelmed. Breck turned quickly, clearly surprised by Jin's speed. This time, the mech approached more cautiously, using its multiple limbs to try to surround Jin. Jin circled with his opponent, keeping his distance, watching how the mech moved. Each time Breck lunged, Jin evaded, never directly blocking the powerful limbs, never trying to match strength with strength. Fight, human, someone shouted from the crowd. Other voices joined in, unhappy with Jin's defensive approach, but Jin stayed patient. He was learning with each exchange how fast Breck could move, which limbs it favored, how it reacted when attacks missed. The mech was strong but predictable. After several minutes of this, Breck became frustrated. The mech rushed forward again, all 6 limbs reaching for Jin. This time, instead of evading completely, Jin guided one of the alien's arms past, him using its own momentum to pull it off balance. Breck stumbled and Jin moved in. He struck precisely at the joint where 2 segments of the exoskeleton met, a vulnerable point he had noticed in the recordings. The mech made a high-pitched clicking sound. Pain, Jin guessed. But Breck recovered quickly, swinging around with surprising speed. One of its pincers caught Jin's shoulder, tearing his shirt and leaving a shallow cut. The crowd roared, sensing first blood. Breck pressed forward, emboldened. Jin fell back, letting the mech think it had the advantage. When Breck lunged again, Jin dropped and swept his leg in a circular motion, catching one of the mech's supporting limbs and toppling it. Before Breck could regain its footing, Jin moved in close. Too close for the alien to use its longer reach, effectively. He struck again at the joint he had targeted before, then another one and another. Each blow was precisely aimed at the gaps between armor plates. The mech tried to grab him, but Jin stayed inside its guard using short, powerful strikes. He moved constantly, never giving Breck a chance to use its superior strength and multiple limbs effectively. The crowd had gone quiet, watching in confusion. This wasn't how arena fights usually went. Most were direct contests of strength and natural weapons. Jin was fighting differently, efficiently, tactically. Finally, Jin saw his opportunity. When Breck tried to back away to create distance, Jin moved forward instead of retreating. He grabbed two of the mech's limbs and used a joint lock technique, bending them at an angle they weren't designed to bend. Breck made a loud clicking sound and tried to pull away, but Jin had positioned himself perfectly. The more the mech struggled, the more pressure was applied to its joints. After a few seconds of this, Breck tapped one free limb on the ground, the universal signal for submission. The arena fell completely silent. Then the announcer's voice boomed. Winner by submission, Jin of Earth. Jin released his hold and stepped back, bowing slightly to his opponent. Breck stood, its compound eyes fixed on Jin for a moment before it turned and left the arena. The crowd erupted, not in cheers but in a cacophony of confused noises. No one had expected the human to win, especially not like that. That was amazing, Hana said when Jin returned to the preparation area. How did you know about those weak points in the mech's armor? I studied the videos, Jin said simply. He examined the cut on his shoulder. It wasn't deep. When do I fight next? Tomorrow, Hana said, checking her screen. The committee has already posted the next round. You're facing a Sealer warrior. Jin nodded, remembering Ren, the Sealer champion. He had met at the reception. They have the strongest natural armor, right? Yes, Dahl said, appearing beside them. The small blue alien looked pleased. Your victory has caused quite a stir, human. The betting pools have been thrown into chaos. Jin frowned. Betting pools? The arena is not just about politics, Dolly explained. Many species wager on the outcomes. No one bet on a human victory today. Except you, Hana said, noticing the smug look on Dahl's face. Dahl's mouth curved in that not-quite smile. I made a modest wager. My faith in you has been rewarded, Jin of Earth. Jin wasn't sure how to feel about that. I didn't fight to help you win bets. Of course not, Dahl agreed. But your next opponent will be much more difficult. The Sealer have never been defeated by an unarmed opponent. Jin thought for a moment. I need to see more videos of Sealer fighters, and I need to rest. Hana nodded. I'll arrange everything. The human delegation is already celebrating your win. Ambassador Tyke wants to see you. Later, Jin said. First, I need to prepare. Back in his quarters, Jin found that someone had been there. His few possessions were disturbed, and the device containing the fight recordings was missing. Hana was furious when he told her, Someone's trying to sabotage you. Without those recordings, you can't study your next opponent. It doesn't matter, Jin said calmly. I've already seen enough to understand their basic fighting style. The Sealer rely on their armor and strength. They don't expect to be hurt, so they don't worry about defense. But how will you fight them? Hana asked. Their exoskeletons can stop weapons. Your hands can't possibly hurt them. Jin smiled slightly. There's an old saying in martial arts, water is soft, yet it can wear away stone. I don't need to break their armor to win. Hana didn't look convinced, but she nodded. I'll try to find out who took your device, and I'll increase security on your quarters. After she left, Jin sat on the floor and closed his eyes, meditating. He visualized his next opponent, imagining how a Sealer would move, where its balance points would be, what joints might be vulnerable despite the armor. He had won his first match, but he knew the real challenge was just beginning. The other species would no longer underestimate him. They would be watching, learning, adapting. Jin smiled to himself. Adaptation was what humans did best. Tomorrow would prove it. News of Jin's victory spread quickly through the station. When he entered the dining hall that evening, conversation stopped as aliens turned to stare at him. Some looked curious, others hostile. Ambassador Tyke was waiting for him at a table, with several other humans. His attitude had changed completely. "Jin," Tyke called, waving him over. "The hero of Earth, come sit with us." Jin joined them reluctantly. He preferred quiet before a fight. "Your victory has changed everything," Tyke said, his voice excited. 3 Federation species have already approached us about trade agreements. They're taking us seriously now. "Because of one fight?" Jin asked. "Because you showed we're not helpless," Tyke replied. "The arena isn't just sport, it's politics. Power. Your next match is even more important." Jin nodded. "I'm facing a sailor tomorrow." Tyke's smile faded slightly. "Yes, Ren. He's their champion, undefeated for 6 arena cycles." He leaned forward. "But I have faith in you now. Win tomorrow, and Earth's position in the Federation will be secured for years." Jin said nothing. He wasn't fighting for politics or trade deals. He was fighting because it was what he knew, what he was good at. After a brief meal, he excused himself, wanting to get more rest before tomorrow's match. As he walked through the corridors, he noticed a group of Krith warriors watching him. Their 4-armed leader was Quan, who had mocked him at the reception. Jin nodded politely as he passed them. Quan stepped forward, blocking his path. "Your victory was luck," Quan said, his translator making his voice sound flat. "The mech are weak. Tomorrow you face a real warrior. Every opponent deserves respect," Jin replied calmly. Quan laughed. "Respect? You'll be lucky to leave the arena alive. Ren has crushed opponents twice your size." Jin met Quan's 4 eyes, steadily. "Size isn't everything." "No," Quan agreed, flexing his multiple arms. "But strength, speed, and natural weapons are. You humans have none of these." "We have other advantages," Jin said. "Like what?" Quan asked mockingly. Jin simply smiled. "You'll see tomorrow." He stepped around Quan and continued down the corridor. "Human," Quan called after him. "When Ren defeats you, I'll be waiting in the next round. I'll show everyone how weak your species really is." Jin didn't look back. He kept walking, his face calm but his mind racing. Quan's words didn't bother him, but they confirmed what he already knew. He wasn't just fighting for himself tomorrow. He was fighting for how all humans would be seen in the Federation. When Jin returned to his quarters, he found Hana waiting for him, looking worried. "There's something you need to know," she said as soon as the door closed behind them. "The committee has changed the rules for tomorrow's match." Jin frowned. "Changed how?" "The boundary rule has been modified. Now a fighter must be completely outside the arena to lose by boundary exit." Hana's expression was grim. "It's clearly aimed at you. They saw how you used technique rather than strength against the mech." Jin considered this. His plan for defeating the heavily armored sailor had involved using the boundary rules to his advantage. Now that would be much harder. "That's not all," Hana continued. "Dahl discovered that several betting syndicates have placed huge wagers against you. There's a lot of money riding on your defeat." "Is that why someone searched my room?" Jin asked. "Probably," Hana agreed. "And there might be more interference. You should be careful." Jin nodded, thinking. "The rule change makes things harder but not impossible. I'll adapt." Hana looked at him with admiration. "How can you be so calm? The whole system seems to be against you." Jin smiled slightly. "In martial arts, we learn to use our opponent's energy against them. The more force they use, the more there is to redirect." He sat down on the floor, stretching his legs. "The same applies here. Their fear of a human victory makes them predictable." "Fear?" Hana asked, surprised. "They're not afraid of you. They mock humans constantly. People only mock what they fear or don't understand," Jin said quietly. "Our victory would change how they see the universe. That's frightening to them." Hana sat down across from him. "I wish I had your confidence." It's not confidence, Jin corrected her. It's acceptance. I might win, I might lose. Either way, I'll do my best. He closed his eyes, beginning his pre-fight meditation. That's all anyone can do. The next day, the arena was even more crowded. Word had spread about the unusual human fighter who had defeated a mech without weapons. Many came to see if it was a fluke or if humans were truly something new in the Federation. Jin stood in the entrance tunnel again, breathing deeply, centering himself. He had spent the morning reviewing what he remembered from the videos and adjusting his strategy for the rule change. Any last advice? He asked Hana, who stood beside him. Don't die, she said, only half joking. Ren has killed opponents before, even though it's against arena rules. Jin nodded. I'll keep that in mind. The signal chimed, and Jin walked out into the arena again. The crowd was louder this time, a mix of cheers, jeers, and alien sounds he couldn't interpret. From the opposite tunnel emerged Ren, the Sailor Warrior. In person, he was even more intimidating than in the videos. Nearly 8 feet tall, with gleaming black and green exoskeletal armor covering his entire body. His limbs ended in sharp points that looked like natural blades. They met in the center where the Trell official waited. You know the modified rules, the Trell said. No weapons. Match ends on submission, incapacitation, or complete boundary. Exit. Begin when the signal sounds. The Trell moved away. Ren looked down at Jin, his alien face unreadable behind his natural armor. Your species is interesting, Ren said, his translator making his voice sound like grinding stones. But this is where your journey ends. Jin said nothing, focusing on his breathing, observing Ren's stance, looking for any weakness in the seemingly perfect armor. The signal sounded. Ren attacked immediately, moving with surprising speed for his size. One armored limb swept toward Jin's head with enough force to kill. Jin ducked under it and moved to the side, not bothering to block or counter. A direct hit against that armor would break his hand. Ren pressed forward, attacking relentlessly. Jin evaded, always moving, never staying in one place long enough to be cornered. The crowd began to murmur again, unhappy with the lack of direct combat. Jin ignored them. He was watching Ren carefully, noticing that while the sailor's armor was indeed impressive, it had one significant weakness. It made Ren overconfident. The sailor didn't bother to defend himself, assuming his armor would protect him from any counterattack. After several minutes of this, Ren grew frustrated. Fight me, human, he demanded. Or do you plan to dance all day? In response, Jin changed tactics. Instead of evading completely, he began to slight counterattacks, not strikes, but light touches to Ren's joints as they passed each other. He was mapping the sailor's body, finding the places where the armor had to flex to allow movement. Ren seemed to find this amusing. Your touches are like a breeze against stone, he mocked, continuing his powerful but increasingly wild attacks. Jin remained focused, patient. He had noticed something important. Ren was slowing down. The heavy armor that protected the sealer also drained his energy faster than Jin's light movements drained his. This was what Jin had been waiting for. Humans had evolved as persistence hunters, able to outlast faster prey through superior endurance. Now Jin would use that evolutionary advantage. He kept moving, kept touching those joint points, kept making Ren work. The sailor's attacks became slower, less coordinated. The crowd noticed too. The arena grew quieter as they watched the strange battle of attrition. Finally, after nearly 15 minutes of constant movement, Jin saw his opportunity. Ren lunged forward with a powerful but slow strike. Jin didn't evade this time. He stepped in close, grabbed the extended limb, and used a precise joint lock technique, applying pressure to one of the flexible points he had identified. The sailor made a horrible screeching sound as Jin bent his limb in a direction it wasn't meant to go. The armor couldn't break, but the joint inside could still be manipulated. Ren tried to pull away, but now his size and armor worked against him. Jin used the sailor's own weight to increase the pressure on the joint. When Ren tried to attack with his other limb, Jin shifted, maintaining the lock while evading the counterattack. The crowd was completely silent now, watching in disbelief as the small human controlled the mighty sealer through leverage and technique. Alone. Jin increased the pressure slightly, careful not to cause permanent damage. "Submit," he said quietly. Ren struggled for another moment, then made the tapping motion with his free limb. "Submission." Jin released him immediately and backed away, bowing slightly as he had to the mech. The silence in the arena lasted for several heartbeats. Then the announcer's voice boomed, "Winner by submission, Jin of Earth." This time the crowd erupted in a mixture of sounds, cheers, roars, clicks, and whistles. Whether they approved or not, they could no longer deny that this human was something new in the arena. As Jin walked back toward the exit tunnel, he caught sight of Quan watching from the sidelines. The Krith champion's 4 eyes were narrowed, his posture tense. Jin knew he had just made a very dangerous enemy, and tomorrow they would meet in the arena. Jin returned to his quarters after defeating Ren to find the human delegation waiting for him. Their faces were excited, their voices loud as they congratulated him. Ambassador Taik stood at the front, beaming with pride as if Jin's victories were his own. "Incredible," Taik said, clapping Jin on the shoulder. "You've made history. No one has ever defeated a seller without weapons before." Jin nodded politely but said little. He was tired from the match and needed to rest before facing Quan tomorrow. "Final match is all that remains," Taik continued. "Defeat the Krith champion and Earth will have the highest possible standing for a new Federation member. The Council is already talking about special trade rights, technology exchanges." "Ambassador," Jin interrupted quietly. "I need to prepare for tomorrow." Taik stopped, looking slightly embarrassed. Of course. We'll leave you to it." He ushered the others out, pausing at the door. "Jin, whatever happens tomorrow, you've already done more than we ever expected. Earth is grateful." After they left, Jin sat on the floor, stretching his sore muscles. His hands were bruised from the fight with Ren. Nothing was broken, but he would be fighting at less than full strength tomorrow. A soft knock came at the door. Jin opened it to find Dahl and Hana. "May we come in?" Hana asked. Jin nodded, stepping aside. "The station is buzzing with talk of your victory," Dahl said, moving to the center of the room. "Many species are reconsidering their view of humans. And many others are angry," Hana added. "Especially the Krith. They've dominated the arena for decades. Quan has never lost a match." Jin sat back down on the floor, gesturing for them to join him. "Tell me more about Quan. How does he fight?" Dahl settled onto the floor, his webbed feet tucked under him. "Quan relies on his forearms and superior strength. He overwhelms opponents quickly, giving them no time to think or adapt. He's also known for ignoring arena rules," Hana said grimly. 3 opponents have died in matches against him, despite the rules against lethal force. The committee always rules them accidents." Jin nodded, taking this in. "The Krith are powerful in the Federation then. They control many resource-rich worlds," Dahl confirmed. "The committee won't act against them." They talked for another hour, with Dahl sharing everything he knew about Krith physiology and fighting styles. Eventually, Hana and Dahl left, so Jin could rest. Just as he was falling asleep, Jin heard his door slide open. He rolled to his feet instantly, moving to a defensive stance. 3 figures stood in the doorway, aliens wearing dark coverings over their bodies. They rushed at Jin, moving faster than he expected. Jin dodged the first attacker but was caught by the second, who grabbed his arm with surprising strength. The third pulled out a small device that glowed with an eerie blue light. "Hold him still," the third attacker hissed. "This will paralyze his muscles. No permanent damage, but he won't be fighting tomorrow." Jin reacted instinctively. He dropped his weight, lowering his center of gravity, and used the second attacker's grip against him. With a quick twist, he broke free and rolled away from the glowing device. The first attacker came at him again. Jin struck precisely at nerve points he had studied in alien anatomy. Not all species had the same vulnerable spots as humans, but many shared similar nervous system structures. The attacker crumpled to the floor. The other two hesitated, surprised by Jin's effectiveness without weapons even outside the arena. That hesitation gave Jin the opening he needed. He moved forward quickly, using short, powerful strikes targeted at vulnerable points. Within seconds, all three attackers were on the floor, stunned or unconscious. Jin hit the emergency call button on the wall. Within minutes, security personnel arrived, followed shortly by Hana. "Assassins?" she asked, looking at the three aliens being taken away by security. "Saboteurs," Jin corrected. "They wanted to injure me so I couldn't fight tomorrow." Hana's face darkened with anger. "The Krith must be desperate to stop you." "Maybe," Jin said. "Or maybe it was the betting syndicate's doll mentioned." He looked around his damaged room. "I can't stay here tonight. I'll arrange different quarters," Hana said, "with better security." Jin nodded, gathering his few possessions. As they left, he couldn't help wondering what other obstacles would be placed in his way before tomorrow's final match. The arena was packed beyond capacity for the final match. Aliens of all species crowded the stands, many standing because all seats were taken. The noise was deafening. Jin stood in the entrance tunnel, his body relaxed despite the tension of the moment. He had slept little after the attack, but years of training had taught him to function despite exhaustion. "The committee has changed the rules again," Hana said, her voice tight with anger. "No time limit on the match. It only ends with submission, incapacitation, or boundary exit." Jin nodded. Another change designed to favor Quan, whose forearms and greater strength would give him advantage in a longer fight. "Jin," Hana said, putting a hand on his arm, "you don't have to do this. You've already achieved more than anyone thought possible." Jin smiled at her. "I know, but I'm going to finish what I started." The signal chimed. Jin walked out into the arena for the last time. The crowd roared as he appeared, the sound much more positive than during his first match. Many aliens were now cheering for him, the unexpected human who had changed their understanding of what was possible. From the opposite tunnel came Quan. The Krith champion was massive, his four powerful arms flexing as he walked. His red skin gleamed under the arena lights and his four eyes fixed on Jin with clear hatred. They met in the center. The Trell official recited the rules, but Jin barely heard them. He was studying Quan, noting his balance, his posture, the way his four arms moved in relation to each other. The signal sounded, and Quan attacked immediately. All four arms moved at once, coming at Jin from different angles. The speed and coordination were impressive. Jin evaded, but just barely. One of Quan's hands grazed his shoulder, the force enough to spin him around. Jin recovered quickly, moving away, creating distance. Quan followed, relentless. "No more running, human," he growled. "Today, you learn your place." Jin said nothing, focused entirely on survival now. Quan was faster and stronger than either of his previous opponents. The Krith had clearly studied Jin's earlier matches and was prepared for his evasive tactics. When Jin tried to circle away, Quan cut him off. When he attempted to create distance, Quan closed it instantly. Those four arms gave the Krith an advantage, in both attack and defense. After several minutes of this, Jin was breathing hard. A glancing blow had caught his ribs and another had left his left arm partially numb. He couldn't keep evading forever. Quan seemed to sense Jin's fatigue. "Ready to submit, human?" he asked, his tone mocking. "Or should I help you decide?" He increased the speed and power of his attacks. Jin took a hit to the shoulder that sent him staggering back. The crowd gasped. This was the first solid blow any opponent had landed on the human. Quan pressed his advantage, all four arms striking in a coordinated assault. Jin blocked what he could, but a powerful blow caught him in the chest, knocking him down. He rolled away just as Quan's foot stomped where his head had been. The crowd was roaring now, sensing blood. Jin got to his feet, his breathing ragged. Quan came at him again, confidence in every movement. This time, instead of retreating, Jin stepped forward. The unexpected move caught Quan by surprise. Jin slipped inside the Krith's reach, too close for those long arms to strike effectively. Jin struck at pressure points, Not the human versions, but the Krith equivalent that Dahl had described. His fingers dug into spots where Quan's nerves clustered close to the surface. Quan roared in pain and surprise. He tried to grab Jin, but the human was too close, moving constantly, striking and moving again. Jin wasn't trying to overpower Quan. That would be impossible. Instead, he was using the Krith's own nervous system against him, sending confusing signals that made coordinating forearms increasingly difficult. Quan backed away, trying to create space to use his longer reach again. Jin didn't let him, staying close, targeting those same nerve clusters repeatedly. The crowd had gone quiet, watching this strange battle with growing fascination. The mighty Krith champion was being harried by the smaller human, unable to bring his superior strength to bear. Quan grew desperate. He lunged forward, trying to tackle Jin to the ground where his greater weight would give him advantage. Jin sidestepped, using Quan's momentum to send him stumbling forward. In that moment of imbalance, Jin moved. He grabbed one of Quan's arms and applied a joint lock, using leverage to control the much stronger limb. When Quan tried to counter with his other arms, Jin shifted position, using the controlled arm as a shield and lever against the others. It was a technique Jin had created specifically for this fight, a modification of human martial arts designed to counter a four-armed opponent. Quan struggled but found himself in an impossible position. The more he fought, the more pressure was applied to his joints. Jin increased the pressure slowly, carefully. He didn't want to break Quan's arm, just show him that he could. "It's over," Jin said quietly. "Submit." Quan struggled for another moment, his face contorted with rage and disbelief. Then, slowly, he tapped the floor with his free hand. The arena exploded with sound. The announcer's voice could barely be heard over the noise. "Winner by submission, Jin.